Today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about an idea, something that I've been kicking around, looking into a little bit for a while now. It's about bringing at least some democracy to the workplace, and a place that's been doing it for decades apparently and doing it very well. It's Germany, and what they've been doing is what's called co-determination. Co-determination is the halfway point between a traditional private business and a full-blown worker-owned cooperative. It's definitely a halfway point, more or less. But I figure if we promote that kind of idea in America, people can better visualize it working. They can have a better, you know, chance of getting what it's about. Because I understand that a lot of people they say that cooperatives are a great idea and they need an idea, but maybe they just can't visualize how it's all set up in their heads off the bat. I mean, unless you're a an online left wing person, personality or whatever, then you can pretty much figure it out. But for the average person who's probably never even heard of the idea of democratizing the workplace, co-determination can definitely be an idea to help them sort of get on board with that. I call it socialism with training wheels. So it sounds rinky dinky, but it is what it is. What it is. But anywho, Germany's been doing it with much success for the past, I think, since the 1950s or 60s, something like that. And their businesses tend to be the co-determined businesses tend to be more stable in economic downturns. They're a bit more productive and just as profitable as before. And that's an idea that I would like to see come be brought here to America. Because the thing is, in Germany, they require by law that businesses be co-determinants if they have more than 500 employees. Um, so it's a great way to balance out the amount of concentrated power that's in the hands of the shareholders and the CEOs amongst the rest of the workforce, especially for large businesses. Now, for small businesses, it may not be necessary because I see it as if it's a small business, you have more likely of a chance to build a rapport with the owner than you do with, say, Jeff Bezos. Does that mean I would stop at just doing co-determination? No, of course not. I advocate also for public banking to where we can give cooperatives a better chance of starting with funding versus having to go through traditionally private banks, to where we can get the workers cooperatives up and off the ground. As the people have seen how co-determination works, now they can take that to the next step. So I see co-determination as a healthy little stepping stone to getting the American people on board with the idea of democratizing the workplace, so they can really see how it's about, how it works, how it can work for them. Because if people on the left talk about theory, this, that, and the other, which is fine, because theory is important, and I'm trying to trying to read some in my spare time, but theory is important, but it can only take you so far. If you, as a lefty, are an advocate of left-wing ideas, and you can't really easily explain your left-wing ideas to the average person relatively simply, then you just gotta work on your game a little bit. Because if somebody says, "Hey Joe, how do you want to bring democracy to the workplace?" Well, I'd say let's do what let's point to an example. Do what Germany's been doing for decades, and they require by law with companies over 500 employees. And now the thing with co-determination is that the companies are still owned by the private owners, but the workers have some control over the decision making process in that business. So think of it as control without ownership. And I'm pretty sure some people on the left are going to be like, "Oh no, it doesn't go far enough," and I agree, it doesn't. Um, but for the time being, I think it would be a great step towards a much more democratized economy. It's like I said, this is just an idea that I'm really beginning to look into, and so far I'm liking what I see. Are there trade-offs, positives, negatives? Sure, pros and cons always, but I find that the positives definitely they outweigh the negatives. I mean, you could say a kingdom, like an actual old-fashioned kingdom, is more efficient than your typical representative republic. But the representative republic seems to be a much better option than the simpler, more efficient kingdom. You know what I mean? So there are definitely trade-offs there. So if you could, let me know what you think down below. Do you think this is a good stepping stone to getting the American people on board overall to understand what workplace democracy is? Because I'm pretty sure that 98, 97% of them ain't got a fucking bastard clue about. If you tell them to democratize the workplace, they're going to be like, what? So we got to find something to get them on board, or to at least to understand what it's about as quickly as relatively possible. We can point to a living example in Germany right now. So, anywho, let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you all around.